Happy Sunday to you. Happy Sunday. So we're going to make some kava, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences in different leadership roles and meeting different people and where I started to develop my leadership skills. And going back to when I was 23, I went to my first John C. Maxwell Leadership Conference. And he's the one, and you hear the phrases that people use by John C. Maxwell. And we're having double shot Mr. Brown espresso milk with some Sudan kava. So you'll hear the coin phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And hurting people hurt people. And I believe, I'm not exactly sure if that one was originally from John C. Maxwell, but as a child, he was actually paid. His father paid him to read books. So he went to his first Dale Carnegie course. I believe he was in middle school, maybe a little younger. So that's where he started his leadership training. And I've been to 2 different conferences of John C. Maxwell when he came out with the book Winning with People. And the Goads did the conference with him. And the Goads is a singing group from Orlando, Christian group, and they're all brothers and sisters. And they'd come out to the conference and they'd open and start singing. And they came out with their own CD, Winning with People. And the ABCs of attitude. Kids did something great, I would say, that's the ABC. And they'd go, attitude. And when they did something not so great, I'd say, that's not the ABC attitude. And they'd go, but, so that was the Goads with John C. Maxwell. And then the second time I went to his conference, I think I was 25. And it was when he came out with the 360-degree leader. Amazing guy. He came out with a Bible, John C. Maxwell Bible. And I actually donated to our pastor, Pastor Rick. And he was pastoring a church in Claremont at the time. And I want to say it was Family Life Center. The kids would go to the Easter egg hunts all the time. And just a really cool guy, just so laid back, just like, you know, just a guy that you want to be friends with, you know. If he was stressed out, you never knew it, you know. And his wife Becky was incredible. She was just as sweet. And you know, when you marry somebody, you want to marry a woman that is going to help you. And I told this to my mentor the other day with Score, and we're going to add some cinnamon. And he, I told him, I said, Jeff, his name's Jeff Mayteen. Hey, Jeff! Love the guy. He's so funny. We just were talking one day, and I said, you know what, Jeff? I said, I'm somebody's rib. I said, my Adam's out there somewhere. And he just laughs, and he listens, and we joke around, and he was like, wow, I never heard it put that way. But it's true, you know, as women, we are the rib of the man. We are to be the helpmate of the man, our husband. And they are to lead the household. So that's a lot of responsibility. So when you're choosing somebody, a wife and a husband, you know, before they come in, things have to happen in the spiritual realm before they manifest in the 3D. So when you pray to God and Jesus, that didn't mix up very well, but all good. I didn't put my lid on it, but if I have cinnamon in my teeth, you know, whatever. So I like this sleepy town. Everything closes at about 5 p.m. on Sunday, so it's very relaxing. Ready to start the week. Good stuff. So I remember at Rollins, I took responsible business leadership, and we had a sheet or a page long of different books that we could pick out, and multiple John Maxwell books showed up, and I was like, oh, I remember that book. He just really is all about business principles, godly principles, and incorporating them with real world application. And he's friends with the owners of Chick-fil-A, and just a good person, you know. But you want those people around you and your team, you know, people that have been through life, have wisdom that they can give to you as a business owner, or in life in general. You know, you are who you surround yourself with. So if there are people in your life, they can be family, they can be friends, you know, pray about it. But if they're negative, if they are shooting down your dream, first of all, if they don't support your dream, you shouldn't be telling them about your dream. If they're negative, you know, if that's a dream God gave you, then that's your dream, you know. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know who you are in God, in Christ. And for the longest time, you know, I lost touch of reality. I lost touch of who I am in Christ. So it was very easy for myself to be manipulated. So God had to take me out of the whole realm of where I was. And I'm very, very happy he did that. You know, God knows us. God knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. Jeremiah 1:5. And I think that's great. You know, he knows us better than we know ourselves. And he's omnipotent. He sees everything before we see it, you know. I had a near-death experience when I was in my multi-vehicle accident in 2013. And I went to heaven, and it was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. I did not want to leave. I didn't. And it was the most beautiful feeling I've ever felt in my whole entire life. And I have something to look forward to. But when I came back, and first of all, when I was in heaven, I saw Jesus, and he looked like an angel. And God told me two things. He said I need to be married, and he said there's going to be more people in hell than there are in heaven. And so when I came out of it, I was angry with God. And the reason why I was angry with God is because he let me stay here, and I wanted to stay in heaven because of how I felt in heaven. I had to do some soul searching, and I had to ask for forgiveness for my anger with God. And he has since forgiven me, and I am glad that it wasn't my time, because now my kids, I can see them growing up and what they're becoming through Christ. And it's such an honor. And I had to go through my journey as well, and they can see that. You know, they don't have to make the same mistakes I made. So, you know, when you're around people and you experience something like a near-death experience, people are not going to understand that. And people to this day still don't understand that if they've not gone through that. But I have met some other people that have experienced it. And before they even tell me their story, I just start talking to them. God's like, this person had a near-death experience. And I'll ask them, did you have a near-death experience? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know? Because they feel so open to talk to me. So God's using my experiences, strength and hope to help other people, you know, going through alcoholism, recovering from that, being suicidal, recovering from that, having narcissists, spiritual narcissists, which is demonic, having to recover from that, spiritual warfare, you know. So finally, I'm just in a peaceful place in my life. I have shalom. And that is a gift. That is a gift from the Most High. That is a gift from God, from Jesus. I love where I'm at right now. And He has given me multiple opportunities to change my ways. And for the first time in my life, I am taking Him up on the offer to turn my life around for myself and for my children. And I'm with God, with Elohim, and He is taking me under His wing. And He is covering me with His wings. And I feel so secure right now. I feel at peace, and it's such a blessing. So if you have that connection with God, and even if you don't, all you have to do is get on your knees and humble yourself before the Lord. And He is quick to answer your prayers. He just wants to see the humbleness, the obedience coming from your heart. And I think that's really special. To whom much is given, much will be required in this life. But it's not that much. It really isn't. It's being obedient, and it's choosing to live not for yourself, but to live for Him and His righteousness, God's righteousness. So I'm happy that He's revived a lot of things in my life and has restored the peace, the love. And right now, He is just allowing me to grow and get stronger in Him. And I'm excited to see what the future holds for Sudan and for all the businesses that I expect to create in the future. So thank you for watching. I love you all, and I appreciate all your support. Shalom. Mazel tov.